Tia the stone is cold enough to bite through denim. My knees slip on the slick floor, and the chain at my wrists jerks tight, dragging my shoulders back until my breath fractures in my chest. The room smells like smoke and wet fur, and something metallic that makes my tongue taste pennies. Above me, a half-circle of carved chairs rises like a tribunal out of an old nightmare, and every seat is filled. Not people. Not exactly. Eyes catch the torchlight and throw it back in gold and green. Canines flash when someone inhales, as if the air itself is an insult. A low, constant sound threads under the silence, throats humming, a warning without words. 3 days ago, I was memorizing cranial nerves at my kitchen table, my father laughing at my pronunciation. 3 days ago, I was human. Now a stranger in a gray cloak steps forward and unrolls a strip of paper, as if the sentence is already decided and the reading is just ceremony. Blood and by law, he says, voice echoing off the stone, the debt of Merrick Ilian passes to his only issue. My stomach turns hard, like someone hooked a fist into it and twisted. I try to lift my head and my hair falls into my face. I taste salt. I don't remember crying, but my lips are wet. I don't, my voice comes out scraped raw. My father didn't, a sound like a growl cuts me off. Not from one throat, from many. Silence, the reader says, almost bored. The blood recognizes blood. My pulse punches in my ears. The chain clinks when I flinch. I can't stop staring at their hands, some normal, some with knuckles that look too thick, nails too blunt and dark, as if they were meant for tearing instead of typing. The reader continues. Merrick Ilian took a blood loan from Clan Var. He defaulted. Under the covenant of 3 moons, the debt may be repaid by coin, service, or body. The debtor is dead. Therefore, he looks down at me. The pity in his eyes is the most nauseating thing in the room. Therefore his daughter, Tia Ilian, is bound to Clan Var until the debt is satisfied. A hiss runs through the council, hungry and pleased and sharp. Someone leans forward, and I catch the scent, pine sap leather, something animal and male that makes my skin prickle in a way that feels like betrayal. My throat tightens. I'm a medical student, I manage. I have exams. I have a life. You do not, an elder says, voice like gravel dragged over steel. Not here. My hands shake so badly the chain rattles. I want to yank free and run and find a door, any door, and slam it behind me. But the air itself feels thick, pressurized, as if escape is something the room won't allow. The reader turns a page. The creditor of the blood loan is the current head of Clan Var, Alpha Dáyne Var. The name lands with weight. Few of them glance toward the highest chair, where a man sits very still, his posture too controlled to be relaxed. He doesn't look like the monsters my panic has been painting for 3 days. He looks young, late 20s, maybe broad-shouldered in a black coat, dark hair tied back at his neck. His face is clean-shaven, but there's a slash of a scar cutting through his right eyebrow. His eyes are the color of storm water. When he looks at me, it isn't hunger. It's calculation, and something worse. Restraint. Elder beside him leans in and murmurs. I don't hear the words. I hear the tone, pressure, expectation. A demand. Dáyne's jaw tightens. The reader lifts his voice. Do you acknowledge the debt, Alpha Var? The room holds its breath. Dáyne stands. The scrape of his boots against stone is loud as thunder. When he steps down from the dais, the air shifts around him, like the room making space. My skin breaks into gooseflesh, and I hate myself for it, hate my body for reacting like it recognizes him. He stops close enough that I can see the faint shadow of stubble he missed, the pulse at his throat. The scent of him hits me full force, cold cedar, smoke, and the clean, sharp edge of winter. I swallow and my throat burns. He doesn't touch me. He doesn't grab my hair, doesn't tilt my chin up, doesn't force me to look. Instead, he speaks to the council, voice low and even, as if he's refusing to give them the satisfaction of spectacle. "I acknowledge my father's claim," he says. "And I acknowledge the covenant." A ripple of approval, predators pleased. My chest caves in, I can't breathe. Dáyne's gaze drops to the chain biting my wrists. Something flickers in his eyes, anger, fast and controlled. "But she does not kneel to me," he adds. The room goes quiet in a way that feels dangerous. The elder who spoke earlier bares his teeth. The debt is hers. The posture is appropriate. Dáyne's mouth twitches, not a smile, something sharper. "Appropriate for your memories," he says, and the insult cracks like a whip. "Not for my rule." He turns, and for the first time he addresses me directly. "Can you stand?" It isn't gentleness. It's not kindness. It's an order that comes wrapped in something that feels like a hand on the back of my neck, steadying. I hate that my body responds. Hate it. But my knees are numb and my stomach is churning, and I'm suddenly terrified that if I don't obey, the elders will. I plant my feet under me, trembling, and push up. The chain yanks. My balance wobbles. I nearly fall. Before I can hit the floor, Dáyne's hand snaps out, fast, precise, and catches my elbow, steady as a vice. Heat floods through the point of contact, and my breath stutters. He releases me immediately, as if he refuses even the accidental intimacy. "There," he says to the council, voice flat. She stands. Someone laughs under their breath. Someone else whispers a word I don't know, but the tone is obscene. The reader clears his throat. Then by covenant, the debtor is transferred into Clan Var's custody. The terms will be observed, Dáyne cuts in, without theater. He steps back and lifts his chin. "I'll take her." The elder's eyes narrow. "To your house." "To my house," Dáyne agrees, and the way he says it makes it sound like a shield and a prison at the same time. My heart slams against my ribs. This is it. This is the moment my old life dies for good, not in a hospital corridor with fluorescent lights and the smell of antiseptic, but here, in stone and smoke, under eyes that don't see me as a person. They see an asset, a debt. The chain at my wrists loosens. Someone behind me unlocks it with a key that scrapes metal on metal. My hands fall, aching and red. Dáyne doesn't offer his arm. He doesn't guide me like a dance partner. He just turns and walks, and the room moves around him as if he's the center of its gravity. I follow because there's nowhere else to go, and because the alternative is worse. Dáyne, she follows like she's walking on broken glass. Every step she takes is all stubbornness and fear, a line pulled tight between flight and collapse. Her wrists are raw where the chain bit. There's dried blood under one nail. She keeps her chin lifted too high, like she's daring the world to strike her again. The elders watch us pass with eyes that linger too long. I can feel their satisfaction like insects crawling under my skin. My father would have made this a show. He would have grabbed her by the hair and made her kneel until she learned that breath belonged to him. He would have laughed at her shaking hands. He would have told the council, "See, this is strength. It's rot. It's the kind of rot that draws flies and calls itself power." Outside, the night air is sharp with frost. The compound sits deep in the pines, stone buildings crouched under snow like old animals. Torches spit orange against black sky. Somewhere distant, wolves howl, not the clean music of the wild, but a language, a message passed through ribs and blood. She flinches at the sound. Good, she should. Not because I want her afraid, because she needs to understand that fear is information here. It tells you where the cliffs are. My beta, Sable, falls into step beside me. He's broad and scarred, with a calm face that makes pups trust him. He glances once at the girl and his nostrils flare. Unawakened, he murmurs under his breath. 3 days, I answer. Sable's eyebrows lift a fraction. That's late. She didn't know, I say, and the words scrape my tongue. Because it isn't just late, it's dangerous. An Omega who doesn't know what she is will trip every wire in the territory without understanding why the air turns sharp around her. I keep my pace steady, not too fast. If I push her, she'll bolt. And if she bolts, the wolves that still believe my father's way will call it proof that she needs breaking. The thought makes my jaw lock. We reach my house, a larger building set apart from the others, timber and stone, windows dark except for one lamp in the front room. The porch steps creak under our boots. Tia stops at the door as if it might bite. I don't blame her. Doors have bitten her plenty in the past 3 days. Hospital doors that didn't open again. Apartment doors she's never go back through. The door of her own ignorance, finally kicked in by men with claws. I unlock it and push it open. Warmth spills out, scented with cedarwood and herbs. I keep my voice level. You'll stay here, I tell her. You'll have a room, food, clothes, you'll be safe. She laughs, sharp and broken. Safe, she repeats, like the word is a joke told at a funeral. I don't flinch. I deserve her contempt. My name is attached to the chain that cut her wrists, whether I forged it or not. Sable hangs back at the threshold, watchful. He's here for 2 reasons, to keep her from hurting herself and to keep anyone else from touching her. My father's old guard still circles, waiting for weakness. I step aside to let her pass first, not because I'm polite, because wolves understand posture, and I need every watcher outside to see this. She is not dragged. She walks. Tia moves into the house slowly, eyes darting. She looks at the antler rack on the wall, the heavy table, the fireplace with its iron tools. Her gaze catches on the faint scratches in the wood near the baseboards, claw marks old from a time when I was young and couldn't always hold the wolf back. Her throat bobs as she swallows. You can't lock me in, she says, voice tight. I can, I answer, honesty first. But I won't unless you give me a reason. Her eyes flash. Existing seems like reason enough for your counsel. My counsel isn't my house, I say, and you're not their entertainment. She stares at me as if waiting for the trap to snap. When it doesn't, her shoulders sag a fraction. Exhaustion hits her like a wave. She looks smaller for an instant, not because she is, but because grief is heavy. I want to go home, she whispers. The words punch straight through my ribs, because home is a word that means safety. And right now, home is a grave. I know, I say, and my voice comes out rougher than I meant. I clear my throat. Your room is upstairs, first door on the left. She doesn't move. Sable shifts, cautious. Alpha, I've got it, I cut in softly. I keep my hands visible at my sides, palms empty. No weapons, no threat. Tia, I say, and her name tastes strange, soft, human. You can hate me. You can curse me. But you're in my territory now. Running blind will get you killed. If you need to scream, do it inside these walls, not outside them. Her lips part. For a heartbeat, I think she might actually scream. Instead, she nods once jerky and climbs the stairs like each step cost her something. When her door shuts, the house exhales. Sable lets out a breath. She's going to run? Yes, I say. And if she shifts without guidance, I know. Sable watches me. He's my beta because he sees too much and says it anyway. You're going to make enemies doing this your way. I already have, I answer. Outside, the wind scrapes against the windows like claws. Tia, the bedroom smells like clean sheets and cedar and something faintly bitter, herbs maybe. There's a quilt on the bed, dark blue, folded with military precision. A lamp glows on the nightstand, and beside it sits a glass of water like someone anticipated thirst. I stare at the water like it's an insult. My throat is dry. My eyes burn. I don't drink. The room is too quiet, but not empty. I can feel the house around me, like it's alive, wood settling, fire crackling downstairs. Somewhere, footsteps shift, careful, as if someone is listening without wanting to be heard. I move to the window and look out. Snow blankets the yard. Pines rise like black spears. The fence around the property is tall, more wall than fence, and beyond it the forest is endless. Somewhere out there is the road that leads back to campus, back to my half-finished notes and my lab coat hanging on the hook by the door. Back to my father's empty chair. The grief surges so fast I have to press my fist to my mouth to keep from making a sound. 3 days. 3 days since the hospital told me there was nothing more to do. 3 days since I signed the papers with a hand that didn't feel like mine. 3 days since men in coats that smelled like snow and animals came to my apartment and called my father Merrick, as if he belonged to them. I didn't even know that was his name. I knew him as Dad. A man who burned pancakes and made stupid jokes about my anatomy flashcards. A man who worked too many late shifts and always smelled like soap. Soap, not smoke, not wolf, my stomach twists. I stumble back from the window and sit on the edge of the bed, fingers digging into the quilt. In my pocket, my phone is dead. No service. No charger, of course. I stand again because sitting makes me think and thinking makes me drown. The door, the hallway, the stairs. I move silently, bare feet on wood. I crack the door open. The hall is dim, lit by a single sconce. Downstairs, the low murmur of voices, 2 men, one of them deeper, controlled, Dáyne. My heart hammers, but my body moves anyway, like flight is wired into my bones. I slip out, close the door without a sound, and pad toward the stairs. Halfway down, a floorboard betrays me with a soft creak. The voices stop. A pause, heavy as a hand around my throat. Then, calm footsteps. Measured. Someone who isn't running because he knows he doesn't have to. I freeze on the stairs, gripping the banister. Dáyne appears at the bottom, looking up at me. The lamplight throws shadows across his cheekbones, makes his eyes darker. He's not holding anything. No weapon, no chain, he just watches me. "You're awake," he says. I swallow. "I needed water." "There's a glass in your room." I lift my chin. I didn't see it. One corner of his mouth tugs, almost, not amusement, recognition. He knows a lie when he hears it. He steps to the side, leaving the path to the kitchen open. "Then come get water." My brain stutters. This isn't how cages work. Cages slam shut when you touch the bars. I descend 1 step, then another, every muscle braced for a grab that doesn't come. The kitchen is warm. There's a pot on the stove steaming faintly. Sable stands by the counter, arms folded. His eyes track me without hostility, but with the alertness of someone used to stopping disasters. Dáyne gestures to a chair. "Sit." I don't take orders from, the words come out then crack, because I don't even know what he is to me. Captor, creditor, alpha. The word alpha makes something in my skin tight, like it wants to answer. I hate it. Dáyne leans his hip against the counter. "You can stand if you want, but you're shaking." I realize I am, not from cold. From adrenaline that has nowhere to go. I keep standing out of spite, even as my knees threaten to wobble. Sable pushes a mug toward the edge of the counter, slow, non-threatening. "Tea," he says. "No sedatives." I stare at the mug. Steam curls up like a question, my throat aches, my body is starving, I grab it and drink too fast, burning my tongue. The pain grounds me. Dáyne watches, expression unreadable. "You'll try to run," he says, not as an accusation, but as a fact. My fingers tighten around the mug. "Yes." 4 exits, he says. Front door, back door. Cellar hatch. Window in the laundry room. My stomach drops. He's already mapped my desperation. "Which one were you going to use?" he asks. I glare at him. "The one you're not guarding." He nods once, as if I answered a classroom question correctly. "Sable will patrol the perimeter, not to stop you from leaving the house," he adds, anticipating the flare in my eyes, "but to stop you from leaving the property and dying in the woods." "I can survive a forest," I snap. "You can't," Sable says, voice mild. Not without a pack. Not without knowing what hunts out there. My laugh is ugly. You mean what you hunt? Dáyne's gaze sharpens. The air changes, subtle but immediate, like the temperature drops. You are not prey, he says quietly. Not here. The certainty in his tone makes my throat tight in a different way, one I don't understand and don't want. Then what am I demand. A hostage? A slave? A repayment plan with legs? Sable's jaw clenches. Dáyne doesn't look away. A debt, he says, and the honesty hits like a slap. Then he adds, and a person. Those things can exist at the same time whether you like it or not. My eyes sting. Anger is safer than grief, so I cling to it like a life raft. My father never told me, I say, and my voice shakes despite my effort. About any of this, about wolves, about debts, he let me live like I was normal. Dáyne's eyes flicker, something dark moving behind them. Marek was good at disappearing, he says. Good at making people believe what he wanted them to believe. You knew him, I spit. I knew his choices. And you're punishing me for them, he exhales slowly. I'm trying not to, he says, and for the first time his control slips enough that I hear the strain underneath. But there are rules older than me, older than my father. Rules that keep 3 other clans from tearing us apart the moment they smell weakness. Weakness. The word lands like a verdict. I lift the mug again, hands unsteady. So I'm bait, his eyes harden. No. What then? I challenge and my voice rises. What do you want from me? The silence stretches. Then he says very carefully, I want you alive. The words make my chest ache in a stupid, dangerous way. They sound like comfort. They sound like something I can't afford to believe. I set the mug down. I'm going back upstairs. Dáyne nods, stepping aside again. No grab, no lock. The freedom tastes like confusion, and it makes me more afraid than chains would. Upstairs, in the bed, I lie awake until my eyes burn, listening to the house breathe and waiting for the moment the trap finally springs. It doesn't. Not that night. Not the next morning either, when I find clothes folded neatly outside my door, soft sweaters, leggings, socks, like someone guessed my size without ever touching me. Not when I make my first run for the back door and slam straight into Sable's chest because he's there, blocking the path with patient inevitability. Try the front, he says mildly, as if giving advice on a quiz. I shove past him anyway, heart hammering. I get the door open. Cold air knifes in. Outside, 2 men I haven't seen before stand in the yard, watching. Their eyes are too bright, their smiles too sharp. The way they look at me makes bile rise. Sable's hand closes on my shoulder, not rough, but firm. Inside, he says, and for the first time I hear the edge in his voice. Now. I stumble back, slamming the door, breath coming fast. Dáyne appears in the hallway, as if he sensed the shift in the air. His gaze flicks to my face, then to Sable. Who's outside? He asks. Garrick's pups, Sable says. They're checking the perimeter. Dáyne's eyes go cold in a way that makes my skin prickle. He walks to the door and opens it. I follow because despite everything, my curiosity is stronger than my caution. The 2 men straighten as if someone yanked their spines by strings. They're young, maybe early 20s. Both tall. Both wearing the same crest stitched into their jackets. A wolf's head, stylized, aggressive. Dáyne steps onto the porch. His voice doesn't rise, but it carries. Leave. One of them grins, too confident. We're just making sure the debt's secure, Alpha. Dáyne's smile is razor-thin. The debt is in my house. Under my protection, your concern is noted. The other man's nostrils flare, and I feel it like a pressure wave. A scent rolling out, challenging. My stomach flips. Something inside me responds, a sudden dizzy heat, as if my body wants to bow. Dáyne doesn't move. The air around him changes, thickening with authority. His scent, cedar and smoke and winter, pushes outward, not loud, not showy, but absolute. The two young men's grins falter. I said leave, Dáyne repeats, and there's steel underneath now. Before I decide you're not here for curiosity. They hesitate, then back down the steps, eyes darting toward me like I'm a prize on display. When they vanish into the trees, I realize my hands are clenched so tight my nails bite my palms. Dáyne closes the door and turns to me. You felt that, he says. I felt sick, I snap, because admitting anything else feels like losing. He studies me for a long moment. You need training, he says finally. Before your body makes choices your mind doesn't understand. The word training ignites my temper. I'm not a dog. His eyes flash. Neither am I. We stare at each other, anger sparking off anger, and beneath it something else, recognition, maybe, of the same refusal to be controlled. Dáyne exhales and steps back, as if forcing space between us. Eat, he says, then we'll start with basics. Basics of what? I demand. Of what you are, he answers. I hate him for saying it like he knows. I hate myself for needing him too. Dáyne, she fights like a cornered animal, and the problem is that she is one. She just hasn't met her teeth yet. The first lesson is scent, not the poetic nonsense humans write about perfume. Real scent, dominance and fear, invitation and warning, the way a room shifts when an alpha enters, the way an omega can accidentally pour need into the air without understanding why every head turns. We stand in the training room, a converted space at the back of the house, with mats on the floor and reinforced beams along the walls. There are scratch marks on the beams, old and deep. I keep my voice even. When an alpha pushes dominance, I tell her, it's not magic, it's biology and intent. Wolves are built to organize. Scent is the language. Tia's arms are folded, her chin tilted like a challenge. And omegas are built to what? Submit. The contempt in her voice is sharp enough to cut. It isn't just at me, it's at the universe. No, I say, omegas are built to survive. Her eyes narrow. I continue, in the wild, omegas weren't weak. They were the ones who kept packs alive. They noticed illness early. They mediated conflict. They carried the future. People twisted that into, I stop, because my anger wants to show its teeth. Into ownership. She swallows. I see the tremor in her throat. Your body is reacting because it's learning a new environment, I say more quietly. You can learn to control what you put into the air. You can learn to shield. Like you, she snaps. Yes, I answer, like me. I demonstrate first, because asking her to do something I won't do is the kind of hypocrisy my father loved. I let my scent roll out, controlled, a steady pressure. Tia's pupils widen. Her breath catches. Her posture changes before she can stop it, her shoulders easing, her weight shifting, a tiny involuntary tilt of her head. Rage flares across her face when she realizes. I'm not doing that, she says through clenched teeth. You already are, I tell her. Your body isn't betraying you, it's speaking a language you haven't learned. She shakes, furious. Make it stop. I pull my scent back, abrupt. The room feels lighter. Tia sucks in a breath like she'd been underwater. Her eyes are bright, anger, yes, but also humiliation, fear. I don't want to be programmable, she whispers. The words hit harder than any insult. I know what it is to fear your own instincts. I know what it is to look at your hands and wonder if they'll become your father's hands. You're not programmable, I say. You're adaptable, that's different. She doesn't answer. She stares at the reinforced beam, jaw tight, as if she's trying not to fall apart. Next lesson, I say, because I've learned that if you give grief too much space, it eats everything. Shifting, she says bitterly, as if daring the word to hurt her. Yes, her laugh is short. I can't even handle your stupid scent games. It isn't a game, I say, then soften my tone. And you don't have to shift on purpose yet, but it will happen. Stress triggers it. Fear triggers it. Sometimes pain. Her shoulders tense. I move to a cabinet and pull out a thick, reinforced blanket and a padded collar, not a restraint, not a leash, protection. I set them on the bench and step back. If you shift uncontrolled, you'll tear your skin on furniture and panic, I explain. These help. Her eyes flick to the collar and her face goes white. I'm not wearing that. You don't have to, I say immediately. Not unless you want it. She looks at me like she's trying to find the catch. There isn't one, I add. I'm not here to break you. Her voice comes out ragged. Then why am I here? Because my father's ghost is still in our laws. Because your father ran and left you holding a blade by the wrong end. Because if I send you away, Garrick's clan will take you and use you like a flag. But I can't say all of it. Not yet. Trust is a fragile thing, and hers has been burned to ash. You're here because the covenant demands it, I say finally. And because I won't let the council decide what happens to you. Tia's eyes flicker with something like surprise. Then the wall slams back down. Fine, she says. Teach me, so I can leave. I nod. So you can live. The first uncontrolled shift happens on day 3, not in the training room, in my living room. Sable and I come in from a perimeter check. Garrick's pups have been sniffing too close again, and the house smells wrong the moment we step through the door. The air is charged, sharp with panic sweat and something else, sweet and wild. Tia stands in the middle of the room, hands clenched, breathing fast. Her eyes are too bright, her pupils blown wide. I feel, she starts, then doubles over with a strangled gasp. Her spine arches. Bones crack, not the clean snap of injury, but the wet, shifting sound of a body rewriting itself. Sable swears under his breath. Tia, I say, low and steady, because fear is gasoline and she's already on fire. Look at me. She tries, she can't. Her fingers curl, nails lengthening, splitting through skin, blood beads. She cries out and the sound turns halfway into a growl. The scent in the room spikes, dizzying. I move slowly, palms out. It's all right. It's just your wolf. It's part of you. It hurts, she sobs, voice breaking apart as her jaw shifts. I know, I say, and it's the truth. First shift is brutal even when you're prepared. A crash, she slams into the coffee table, sending it skittering. Another crack, her shoulder hits the bookshelf, and the whole thing shudders. Sable steps forward, but I lift a hand. No sudden movements, I murmur. Tia's clothes tear at the seams as fur erupts along her arms and back, silver brown and patchy with stress. Her face elongates. Her eyes, still those same eyes, look at me now from a muzzle. She whines, high and terrified. My chest aches. For a heartbeat, I see not a debt, not a problem, but a young wolf thrown into the world without a pack. Tia, I say again, using her name like a tether. Stay with me. She takes a staggering step toward me, then another, then slips on the rug and crashes into the couch, ripping fabric with new claws. She scrambles up, teeth bared, not at me, but at the room itself. Her gaze locks on Sable. Instinct, beta, threat, or safety, she doesn't know. Sable holds still, hands open, but his scent shifts cautious. Tia lunges. It happens too fast, a blur of fur, a snap of jaws. Sable grunts as teeth catch his forearm, not deep enough to tear muscle, but enough to break skin. Tia, I bark, and the alpha note in my voice cracks through the room like thunder. She freezes mid-snarl, hackles up, eyes wide with shock at what she's done. Blood drips from Sable's arm onto the rug. Tia's ears flat. A sound, half whimper, half apology breaks from her. I step between her and Sable, not threatening, not looming. I lower myself slowly, bringing my eyes level with hers. You're not in trouble, I say, because punishment now would be cruelty and stupidity both. You panicked, that's all. Her breath comes fast. She trembles so hard her fur ripples. Sable, behind me, says quietly, "It's okay, little Omega." He's pale, but his voice is steady. Tia's gaze flicks to him, then to the blood, then back to me. She makes a broken sound and backs away, tail tucked. She bumps into the wall and slides down as if her legs have forgotten they exist. I grab the reinforced blanket from the hall closet and move toward her slowly, talking the whole time. I'm going to cover you, I tell her. It'll help. You'll feel less exposed. She doesn't bolt. That alone is progress. I drape the blanket over her trembling body, careful not to trap her head. Her nose twitches under the fabric. She inhales, and I realize she's catching my scent woven into the blanket from storage. Her breathing slows just a fraction. Sable wraps his injured arm in a towel and watches us, eyes soft. Tia, I say, listen to me. You shifted. You made it through. Her eyes shine, wolf-bright and human-sad. You're not broken, I add. You're late, that's all. Late. Like a storm that arrives after the warnings are gone, her eyelids flutter. Exhaustion drags her down. I stay near until her breathing steadies enough that the trembling eases. Only then do I stand. Sable murmurs, she'll hate herself for biting. She'll survive it, I say. And you? Sable asks, quiet. I look at the curled-up wolf under my blanket, small and shaking, and I think of the council's hungry eyes. I will, I answer, though I'm not entirely sure it's true. Tia, when I wake, my body is mine again. That's the first thought, relief so intense it makes me dizzy. I flex my fingers. Human fingers, no blood, no claws. My clothes are different, loose shirt, soft pants. Someone changed me. Heat floods my face and I bolt upright, blanket sliding off. The room is the training room. Mat under me, beam on the wall, the lamp low. I smell antiseptic. My gaze snaps to the door. It's open. Light spills in from the hall. Shadow moves and Dáyne appears, carrying a tray, water, a bowl of broth, bandages. He stops when he sees me awake and something in his shoulders loosens. You're back, he says. My throat is raw. Did I? You shifted, he says. You broke my coffee table. You ripped my couch. You bit Sable. The last part hits like a slap. I stare at him, horror clawing up my spine. I bit him. Yes, Dáyne answers, calm. He's fine. I could have, my voice cracks. I could have killed him. You didn't, he says. That doesn't, I squeeze my eyes shut. My hands shake. I'm dangerous. Dáyne sets the tray down and sits on the bench across from me, far enough away that I don't feel cornered. He keeps his voice low, matter of fact. You're not uniquely dangerous, he says. You're an Omega with no training who shifted under stress. The dangerous part is ignorance. I swallow hard. Why didn't you lock me up? His gaze holds mine. Because a caged wolf goes mad. The words settle in my chest like a stone. I look at the bandages on the tray. Sable's arm, yes. I need to see it, I say automatically. Dáyne's eyebrow lifts. Why? Because I'm supposed to help. Because if I'm only a debt, I'll drown. Because the only thing I've ever been certain about is how to stop bleeding. I'm in med school, I say, and the words come out sharper than I intend, like I'm defending the one piece of myself that hasn't been stolen. If he's injured, I should check it, for infection, for whatever wolf mouths carry. A pause. Then Dáyne's mouth curves, faint and surprising. You're already trying to be useful, I bristle. I'm trying to be responsible. His smile fades back into seriousness, but his eyes soften. Fine, he says. After you eat, I glare. I'm not a child. No, he agrees. You're not. Eat anyway. Hunger punches through me the moment he says it, as if my body waited for permission. I hate that too. I drink water, then broth. The warmth spreads through my chest, loosening the tight knot of panic. Dáyne stands. Come. Sable is in the kitchen, seated, forearm bared. The bite marks are ugly, half-moons of bruising and punctures, cleaned and wrapped. He looks up and gives me a small nod. I'm sorry, I blurt, the words tumbling out raw. I didn't mean to. I didn't know what was happening. Sable waves his good hand. I've had worse from pups, he says. I'm not a pup, I snap automatically, then regret it. Sable's eyes crinkle. No. You're an Omega who missed a childhood you should have had. The kindness in his tone makes my throat burn. I step closer and gently unwrap part of the bandage, inspecting the punctures. I'm suddenly in familiar territory: tissue, swelling, risk. Any fever? I ask. No. Pain? I press around the area lightly. He doesn't flinch. Okay, you're lucky the punctures aren't deep, but you need to keep it clean. Sable snorts. Our healers would have packed it with mud and called it done. I blink. Mud. Dáyne, leaning against the doorway, says, "They believe dirt draws out bad blood." That's not. I stop, because I can hear myself lecturing like a professor, and it's ridiculous. But the outrage is real. That's how you get infection. Sable shrugs. We heal fast. Sometimes fast is enough. Sometimes it isn't, I say, and I can't help it. My voice turns firm, clinical. Fast healing doesn't stop bacteria. It just gives it more tissue to ruin. Dáyne's gaze sharpens, attentive. I rewrap Sable's arm more carefully, layering clean gauze, securing it with tape. You have tape, I say, surprised. Dáyne's mouth twitches. I bought it after you arrived. The words hit me in a strange place. Not warm, not soft, just disorienting. He prepared for me. I finish the wrap, then step back. Change it twice a day. Watch for redness that spreads, heat, pus, fever. If any of those happen, you need antibiotics. Sable blinks. Anti-what? I stare. You don't have antibiotics. We have herbs, Sable says, cautious, like he's admitting a weakness. My pulse accelerates, not fear this time, but purpose. Then you need a clinic, I say, more to myself than to them. You need supplies, sterile instruments, basic meds. Dáyne's voice is quiet. You want to build a clinic. I look at him, and something shifts inside me. Because for the first time since the hospital, since the council, since the chain, I can see a shape of a life that isn't just waiting to be owned. I want to do what I know how to do, I say. If I'm trapped here, I won't be useless. Dáyne's eyes hold mine, stormwater steady. You're not trapped, he says, and then, after a beat, but if you choose to stay for a purpose, the clan will feel it. They already feel things, I mutter, thinking of the pups outside, of the way the air thickened with dominance. Dáyne's jaw tightens. Yes, he says, and if you become valuable to them, it changes what they dare to do. A chill runs through me. Value as protection. Usefulness as armor. It's not fair. It's not love, but it's leverage. And right now, leverage is oxygen, so I nod once. Then show me where your healer works. Dáyne's gaze flickers with something that looks almost like relief, quickly buried. All right, he says. Let's start. For the first time in days, my anger doesn't feel like my only fuel. For the first time, I can feel the edges of my own spine again, straightening. Dáyne, the healer's hut, is a low stone building near the northern wall, warmed by a coal stove and thick with the smell of dried plants. It looks like something from a museum display of medieval medicine. Bundles of herbs, mortar and pestle, animal bones hanging near the window. Tia takes it in with a medic's face, controlled, focused, horrified. The healer, an older Omega named Irles, eyes Tia with suspicion and curiosity. Her scent is calm, earthy. She bows her head to me, then looks back at Tia as if measuring the shape of trouble. This is the human girl, Irles says. Tia flinches. I'm not. She's not human, I correct, and the words feel like walking a knife's edge. She's Omega, untrained, and she has knowledge we don't. Irles's eyebrows rise. Knowledge? Tia steps forward, and to her credit, she doesn't shrink under Irles's stare. Medical knowledge, she says, modern medicine, sterile technique, infection control. Irles's mouth tightens. We are not ignorant. No, Tia says, voice steady, but you are working without tools. That isn't your fault, it's a resource problem. Resource, practical. She's speaking in a language the clan understands: need, provision, survival. Good girl, my wolf thinks, and I shove the thought away because it's too intimate, too possessive. Irelies gestures to a table where a young wolf lies on his side, ribs bruised, breathing shallow. He fell from the North Ridge, she says. His lungs rattle. Tia moves instantly, kneeling by the table. She places her ear near his chest, listens, then presses fingers to his pulse with practiced precision. "What did you give him?" she asks. Irelies bristles. "Comfrey and willow bark." Tia nods, not dismissing it. "Okay, pain and inflammation. But if he has a pneumothorax, he needs..." She stops, eyes widening slightly as she realizes she's about to reference equipment that doesn't exist here. "He needs air out of his chest. Do you have needles? Syringes?" Irelies looks blank. I feel Tia's frustration spike like heat. She swallows it down, visibly forcing herself calm. "Boil water," she says. "As hot as you can, get clean cloth. I need the sharpest, thinnest thing you have." Irelies' nostrils flare. "You'll cut him." "I'll save him," Tia snaps, then catches herself. "Please, help me." The word please surprises even me. Irelies hesitates, then moves. I watch Tia work. She's still shaking sometimes, still raw around the edges, but when she leans over a body that needs help, she becomes something else. Steady hands, clear eyes, a mind that organizes chaos into steps. The clan members hovering in the doorway watch too. Their skepticism fades into attention. This is how power shifts, not with dominance, but with usefulness. With trust earned in blood and breath. When Tia successfully relieves the pressure in the young wolf's chest using improvised tools and a steadiness that borders on fearless, a murmur ripples through the room. Irelies stares at Tia like she's seeing a miracle she doesn't want to admit exists. The young wolf's breathing eases. Tia sags back, sweat on her brow. Her face goes pale, then flushes. She looks up at me, eyes bright and fierce. "You need supplies," she says, voice hoarse. "Real ones, if you want your pack alive." I nod. "Make me a list." Her mouth falls open a fraction. "You'll listen?" "I'd be an idiot not to," I answer. For a moment, something electric passes between us, respect, maybe, or the fragile beginning of it. Then, in the doorway, a shadow moves. Garrick's man, older than the pups, with a cruel mouth and eyes like flint, stands watching with a smile that doesn't reach his face. "Impressive," he drawls. "Your debt is turning into a prize, Alpha Var." Tia stiffens, and I feel her sense spike. Fear, anger, defiance, all tangled. I step forward, blocking the man's line of sight to her without touching her. "This is healer business," I say. The man's grin widens. "Everything is clan business," he answers, "especially debts." I hold his gaze, letting my authority press just enough to remind him whose territory this is. "Not in my house," I say. The man chuckles. "It won't always be your house if you look weak." He turns and leaves, laughter trailing behind him like smoke. Tia's breath comes fast. I glance at her. "That's why you need to learn," I say quietly. "Not just to shift, to stand." Her jaw tightens. "I stood," she says. I look at the young wolf breathing easier on the table, then back at her. "Yes," I say, "you did." That night, she tries to run again, not because she's ungrateful, because she's terrified of needing us. Sable catches her at the laundry window, snow dusting her hair, eyes wild. She swings at him with a clenched fist. He blocks without hurting her, but she twists and bolts anyway fast. I intercept her at the back fence. She slams into it, fingers curling over the rough wood, searching for a foothold. She's halfway up before she realizes I'm there. She freezes, breath fogging. I don't grab her, I don't yank her down. I just stand close enough that she can smell me, and I keep my voice low. "If you go out there tonight," I say, "Garrick's wolves will find you first." Her shoulders shake. "Then let them," she whispers, voice breaking. "At least it'll be over." Words slice clean through me. I step closer, not touching, not cornering, just present. "It won't be over," I say. "It'll be worse. They'll use you to hurt me. They'll use you to prove the covenant is a joke." I don't care about your covenant, she spits, tears slipping down her cheeks. I care about my life, and you stole it. The accusation lands and stays there, heavy and deserved. I know, I say. She stares at me, furious that I don't argue. I add, but I'm trying to give you something back. Not the past, not your father, but choice, skill, safety. Her laugh is ragged. Choice. She gestures wildly at the fence, the snow, the dark forest. This is your idea of choice. My idea of choice, I say, voice tightening, is you alive long enough to have options. You don't have options dead. She sags against the fence, the fight draining out of her in a rush. Her hands slide down the wood, leaving faint streaks where her skin has scraped. I hate you, she whispers. I believe her. I can live with that, I answer. Her eyes lift, shining in the dark. Why, she asks, and the question is small and dangerous. Why are you doing this? Because when I look at her, I see the line where my father's cruelty should end. Because the covenant is a beast, and if I can't kill it yet, I can at least starve it. Because her scent, when she isn't afraid, has a brightness that makes my wolf go still. I don't say any of that. I say the only truth I can offer without turning her into a tool for my conscience. Because you didn't choose this, I tell her. She closes her eyes, and a sob breaks out of her like a crack in ice. For a moment, she looks like she might fall. I lift a hand, hesitate, then slowly, giving her time to refuse, I rest my palm against the fence beside her shoulder, not touching her skin. An anchor without a claim. Her head turns, and her forehead presses against the wood near my hand, close but not quite contact. She stays like that, breathing hard until the tremors ease. Then she pushes away from the fence, wiping her face with the back of her hand like she's furious at herself for crying. Fine, she says, voice raw. I'll stay, for now. I nod once. Good. She walks past me toward the house, shoulders squared like she's marching into battle. I watch her go, and my wolf watches too, quiet and intent. This is what my father never understood. You can't force loyalty. You can only build something worth staying for. Tia, the days turn into a week, and the week turns into two. My world shrinks to Dáyne's house, the healer's hut, the training room, the yard where wolves run in the morning like shadows poured over snow. It's a cage with windows, and somehow that's more confusing than bars. I learn the rules by tripping over them. I learn that eye contact can be a challenge, that showing teeth can be a threat, that an Omega's scent can pull attention like blood in water. I learn that betas are the quiet spine of everything, that alphas carry politics in their shoulders, that Omegas are watched in a way that makes my skin crawl. I learn to shield, a little imagining a wall inside my chest, breathing through it until the room stops tilting when someone's dominance brushes mine. I learn to shift on purpose, sort of. The first intentional shift is messy. I end up half-changed, bones aching, fur patchy, and I howl in frustration until my throat burns. Dáyne doesn't laugh. He doesn't scold. He sits on the mat across from me and says calmly, again, like I'm learning sutures, like repetition will turn panic into skill. It does. Slowly, painfully. I don't stop hating the helplessness, but I start hating it less than I hate ignorance. And in the healer's hut, something else happens. I become useful. They bring me injuries, sprains, bites, fractured ribs, infections that smell sweet and wrong. I boil water until my hands are red. I beg Dáyne for supplies like gauze and antiseptic, and he produces them as if he's been waiting for permission to care about logistics. He sends Sable into town to buy what he can, to steal what he can't, to trade for the rest. Irlise watches me with narrowed eyes. Then finally, one evening, she hands me her mortar and pestle without a word. It feels like a truce. A young Omega with a swollen jaw sits on my table and whispers, "They say you're the debt." I tape her bandage in place and meet her eyes. They say a lot of things, I answer. She hesitates, then asks, "Are you his?" The question makes my stomach lurch. My mind flashes to the council, to knees on stone, to chains. "No," I say, sharp. "I'm mine." The Omega's eyes widen, as if she's never heard the sentence spoken out loud. That night, alone in my room, I realize the words weren't just for her. They were for me. Dáyne watches me change the clan in small, stubborn ways. I can feel it in how wolves greet her now, not with hunger, but with respect. How they step aside when she carries a tray of clean bandages. How even the old guard lowers their eyes a fraction when she walks by, because the clan is learning that she matters. And that makes her dangerous, because anything that matters can be taken. 2 weeks after my 4th escape attempt, I find a door in the house that's always been locked. It's in the study, behind a bookshelf. The wood is darker there, older. The air smells like dust and old paper, like secrets. I notice because Dáyne leaves the study door open for the first time while he's downstairs, talking to someone in a low voice I can't quite hear. Curiosity is a sickness I've never been able to treat. I slip inside. The room is lined with shelves, some filled with books, some with ledgers. In the corner, a metal safe. On the desk, papers spread out, weighted down with a knife. The locked door is half hidden behind the shelf, its handle worn. I know I shouldn't. But my life has become a list of things other people decided I shouldn't get to choose. So I tug the shelf just enough to slip through. The door is locked, but not with a keypad or anything modern, just an old keyhole. My heart thuds. On Dáyne's key ring, hanging by the front door, there's a small brass key. I don't think. Thinking makes it real. I grab the key ring, my fingers clumsy with adrenaline, and return to the study. The brass key slides into the lock like it belongs there. The door opens with a soft click. Inside is a narrow room with a single lamp, a table, and more ledgers, older, thicker, bound in leather. The air smells metallic, like dried blood. I swallow hard. On the table lies a document, sealed with wax. The Covenant. The words are in a language I don't know, but some have been translated in the margin with neat handwriting, Dáyne's maybe. I recognize certain terms from the council's reading. Blood loan, debtor, service. My eyes catch on a line, underlined, 30 years, my breath stops. I read the translated margin, fingers trembling. If the debt is not satisfied within 30 years, the debtor becomes perpetual property of the creditor clan. Perpetual property. My vision blurs, not with tears yet, but with something worse, rage so cold it feels like clarity. Below that, another clause written smaller, almost like an afterthought. If the creditor Alpha takes the debtor Omega as mate, the debt is annulled. My heart slams so hard I taste iron. A loophole, a trap, a solution. My hands shake as I close the ledger quietly, like the room might hear me. I lock the door again. I return the key ring. Then I go to the kitchen, where Dáyne stands at the counter, talking to Sable. He looks up when I enter, and something in his expression shifts. He senses the storm. "What happened?" he asks. My voice comes out steady only because I'm too furious to shake. "The debt," I say, "the hidden clause." Sable's head snaps up. Dáyne goes very still. "I didn't know," I add before he can speak. "Don't lie, it was in your study." Sable's jaw tightens. "Tia, don't," I cut him off, and the sound is sharp enough that even Sable pauses. Dáyne's eyes are dark, but his voice is controlled. "It's not hidden," he says. "It's written. You weren't meant to see the ledger without counsel." "I wasn't meant to see my own sentence," I laugh, and it's ugly. 30 years, Dáyne, 30 years, and then I'm property forever. His throat works. "Yes." The single syllable punches the air out of me. The honesty should feel like mercy. It feels like a blade. The other claws, I say, stepping closer until I'm almost in his space, not caring anymore, the mate claws. If you take me as mate, the debt disappears. Dáyne's eyes flash with something like pain. Sable looks away as if suddenly very interested in the floor. Dáyne's voice is low. Yes, I swallow hard because my heart is doing something treacherous, hope, bright, and stupid. Then do it, I say. Fake it. 5 minutes. Stand in front of your counsel and say the words and make this nightmare stop. The kitchen goes silent except for the soft crackle of the stove. Dáyne looks at me as if I've offered him a knife. No, he says. For a moment, I genuinely think I misheard. What? I whisper. No, he repeats, and the calm in his tone is infuriating. I won't. My hands clench at my sides. You'd rather I be your debt for 30 years than pretend for 5 minutes, his jaw tightens. Yes. The word detonates inside me. I step closer, voice rising despite myself. Why pride? Some alpha honor thing? You want to be noble while I rot in a contract. His eyes blaze. Because I will not bind you to me as a solution. It's not binding, I spit. It's paperwork. It's not paperwork, he snaps back, and for the first time his control cracks enough that the alpha in him shows teeth. The air presses in. My skin prickles, my body responding in ways I hate. Dáyne reins it back, visibly, breathing once, twice. When he speaks again, his voice is quieter, but it shakes with restrained intensity. I prefer that when you say my name, he says, each word deliberate, it's real, not contractual, not forced, not performed for men who think women are assets. The sentence lands like a hand on my throat, because it's beautiful in a way that makes me furious, because it's the kind of line that belongs in someone else's romance, not in my prison. I stare at him, speechless, my anger flaring and collapsing and flaring again. You don't get to be the one with principles, I whisper, and my voice breaks. Not when I'm the one paying. Dáyne's eyes soften, and it makes me want to scream. I'm paying too, he says hoarsely. Just differently, I shake my head. No, I say, you still sleep in your bed. You still have your name. You still have a future that belongs to you. His nostrils flare. For a heartbeat, I think he'll grab my shoulders, shake me, shout. He doesn't. He stands there silent, and the restraint is its own violence. I feel something inside me, some last fragile thread of almost trust, snap clean. Fine, I say, and my voice goes cold. Then keep your real, keep your honor, keep your stupid pride. I turn and walk away before my tears can fall in front of him. Upstairs, in my room, I close the door and press my back against it, sliding down until I'm on the floor, knees drawn to my chest. I don't cry loudly. I cry the way you cry when you've learned sound is dangerous, silent, shaking, swallowing every sob like it might be used against you. 3 days pass after that. 3 days where I don't speak to Dáyne unless I have to. 3 days where I work in the healer's hut with my jaw clenched so hard it aches, where I treat wounds and fever and listen to wolves whisper about me like I'm a weather change. 3 days where Dáyne keeps his distance, but I can feel him anyway, in the way Sable appears near doorways when the old guard lingers, in the way supplies arrive without me asking, in the way the house stays warm and stocked, as if someone is trying to care without being allowed close. It doesn't help. It just hurts in a quieter way. On the 3rd night, I wake from a nightmare with my heart racing and the taste of blood in my mouth because I bit my own lip. I sit up, shaking, and for a moment the room feels too small, the walls too close. I want to run. Instead, I do something worse. I go downstairs. Dáyne is in the study, alone, lamplight spilling under the door. I hesitate, hand hovering over the knob. Then I push it open. He looks up from his desk. His eyes are tired. There's ink on his fingers. He looks like a man carrying too many weights and refusing to drop any of them. We stare at each other in the quiet. I'm not here to apologize, I say, because pride is all I have left that feels like mine. His mouth tightens. I wouldn't ask you to. I swallow. My throat burns. Then what now? Dáyne leans back in his chair, the wood creaking. He studies me for a long time, as if choosing each word like it might cut. Now, he says finally, we prepare, because Garrick is circling. The council is pressuring me, and the longer the debt stays open, the more they'll test us. My stomach drops. Test us how? His gaze sharpens, and the alpha in him settles like armor. By taking what they think proves we're weak, he says. The air in the room feels colder. I force my voice steady. Meaning me. Dáyne doesn't deny it. He stands, slow, controlled, and walks around the desk. He stops a few feet away, close enough that I can smell him, cedar, smoke, winter, and something underneath that feels like restraint with teeth. I won't let them, he says. The certainty in his voice should comfort me. Instead, it terrifies me because certainty is a promise, and promises have been breaking around me for days. I stare up at him and whisper, "You can't control everything." His jaw tightens. "No," he admits, "but I can control what happens in my territory." He pauses, then adds, quieter, "And if it comes to choosing between my pride and your life, Tia, I will choose you." My heart stutters. The words are too much, too intimate, too dangerous. I look away because if I look at him, I might believe him, and belief is a weakness Garrick would happily carve open. "Then teach me to fight," I say, voice tight. Dáyne's gaze snaps back to me. "You're a healer." "I'm also a target," I answer. "And I'm done being helpless." For a moment, something like approval flickers across his face. He nods once. "All right," he says, "tomorrow." I turn to leave before the conversation becomes something softer. As I reach the door, Dáyne speaks again, voice low. "Tia," I stop, but I don't turn. He hesitates, then says, "When you offered the fake bond, I didn't say no to punish you." My throat tightens. I keep my voice flat. "You said no because you wanted real." A pause. Then, quietly, "Yes," he says. "And because if I bind you even falsely, the council will never stop using you as proof that I can be forced. They'll demand heirs. They'll demand obedience. They'll turn you into policy." I freeze. He continues, voice rough, "I won't do that to you, not even as a lie." My chest aches in a way that is both rage and something dangerously close to understanding. I open the door and step into the hall. I don't answer him, but the words follow me upstairs like a shadow. And somewhere deep inside me, beneath fury and grief, a small, stubborn spark refuses to die. Not hope, not yet, just the refusal to be owned forever. Not by a covenant, not by a council, not even by the man whose name tastes like winter when I say it in my head. Tia, the night the attack comes, it doesn't announce itself with horns or speeches. It arrives the way rot arrives, quiet, confident, already inside the walls. I'm in the healer's hut, sleeves rolled up, hands gloved in boiled rubber that Dáyne somehow found for me, leaning over a wolf with a gash across his thigh. The cut is clean, too clean for an accident. A blade, not a branch. I'm rinsing it with sterile water when the lamps flicker. Not from wind, from something drinking the air. Irelise looks up so fast her chair scrapes. Her nostrils flare, her eyes sharpen. "Smoke," she says, my stomach drops. "Where?" She's already moving, snatching jars from shelves with a speed that's pure instinct. "North buildings," she snaps. "They'll light the stores first. Starve us, then take what's left." The wolf on my table tries to sit up, pain making him shake. I press him down gently. "Don't move, you'll bleed." A distant crack splits the night. Then shouting. Not panicked yet organized. I hear Dáyne's voice somewhere outside, low and carrying, a command that makes other voices fall into line. Irelise grabs my elbow. Her grip is strong for an older Omega. You stay here, she orders. I'm not staying, I say, because the words come out before fear can bargain with them. People will be hurt, her stare is flint, and you will be taken. That hits like ice water. The ledger in my head flips open, weakness, tests, debt. Outside, a wolf howls. It isn't the language of the pack. It's the scream of a warning. I swallow hard and peel my gloves off, stripping them like skin. Then give me something to make taking me expensive. Arlies hesitates. Then she reaches under the counter and pulls out a small knife, not ceremonial, not pretty, just sharp. She places it in my palm like a choice. Don't wave it, she says. If you use it, commit. I curl my fingers around the handle, heart hammering. Where's the safest place? Arlies' mouth tightens. There is none, she says. But Dáyne's house is hardest to breach. Another crack in the distance. Closer, we move. The air outside is thick with smoke and snow, orange light flickering against the pines. Wolves run past in shapes that blur between human and animal, shifting on the move, coats thrown over shoulders, weapons glinting. The scent of fear is everywhere, and under it, dominance like a storm front pressing down. My body wants to fold, wants to tilt my head and submit to the pressure. I force my breath slow, build my wall inside my chest the way Dáyne taught me. Shield, step, shield, step. A shadow darts from the side of the hut. A man, one of Garrick's, lunges toward us. His teeth flash in a grin that is too sure of itself. There she is, he says, voice slick. The debt. Arlies shoves me back and snaps her fingers, a motion so small I almost miss it. Two betas appear like they were waiting in the smoke. They slam into the man from either side. He goes down hard, snarling, trying to shift, but one beta drives a knee into his ribs and the other pins his throat with a forearm. Arlies leans down, face inches from his. Her voice is quiet, lethal. You don't touch a healer on my ground. The man spits blood, laughing. Your ground is burning. Arlies' hand tightens. For a second, I think she'll break him. Instead, she stands and grabs my wrist. Run, she says, and the command is a shove. I run. Snow bites my bare ankles. Smoke claws at my throat. The knife in my hand feels absurdly small. As we near Dáyne's house, I see figures moving on the roofline, archers, silhouettes against firelight, wolves in the yard in a half circle, holding a perimeter with their bodies. Sable is there, one arm bandaged, the other holding a short spear, eyes scanning. Dáyne stands on the porch steps like the center of gravity, coat open, hair tied back, scar catching the light. He isn't shouting. He doesn't have to. His presence is the command. My relief is immediate and humiliating. Then I see the ambush. 3 men come out of the trees behind us, moving fast and low, not charging the house, charging me. Their eyes are locked like I'm a torch they can grab and run with. My lungs seize. Arlies snarls, shoving me toward the porch. Go, I sprint, stumbling, knife useless in my sweaty grip. One of the men reaches for me. Sable intercepts him mid-stride, slamming his shoulder into the attacker's chest. They crash into the snow, rolling. Another attacker veers toward me. Dáyne moves. He's off the porch in a blink, not running so much as arriving. His hand closes around the attacker's throat and yanks him back like a rag doll. The man chokes, clawing at Dáyne's wrist, trying to shift. Dáyne doesn't shift. He doesn't need to. His eyes are storm-dark, his voice low enough it almost isn't sound. Not her. The attacker's body goes rigid with the pressure of Dáyne's dominance. His knees hit the snow. He gags, eyes watering, forced into stillness. Dáyne releases him with contempt and turns to me. The moment his gaze hits my face, something in his expression changes, sharp focus, fierce restraint. Inside, he says, I don't argue, I bolt up the steps. Behind me, the night erupts into the sound of bodies colliding and the crack of wood catching fire. Inside the house, the warmth is nauseatingly normal. The contrast makes my hands shake worse. I press my back to the door, listening. My brain tries to be medical, triage, treat, stabilize. My body tries to be wolf, hide, curl, survive. I choose the first because the second will get people killed. I grab the emergency bag I've been building: gauze, antiseptic, tape, scissors, a few precious antibiotic pills like they're gold. I run back into the hall toward the training room where I know the mats are, where I can make a station. A crash at the back of the house makes the walls tremble. My blood turns to ice. Footsteps on the stairs. Not Dáyne's measured tread. Not Sable's steady weight. Lighter. Faster, I spin, knife up without thinking. A woman stands halfway up the steps, panting, hair loose, eyes wide. Not from Clanvar. Her jacket bears a different crest. She holds her hands up, palms empty. "Don't," she says, voice shaking. "I'm not here to hurt you." My throat tightens. "Who are you?" She swallows. "Usmara," she says. "Omega." Her scent is terror wrapped around determination. Real, not performance. "I escaped," she adds quickly, as if the word is a key. "From Core." The name hits like a bell. Clan Core. The rival clan with the reputation that makes even Garrick's wolves seem civilized by comparison. My knife trembles. Usmara's gaze flicks past me toward the door, where the sounds of fighting press through the wood. "They're here," she whispers. "Not just Garrick's men. Core is using him, a distraction." My mouth goes dry. "Why?" Usmara's lips part, then she says it, broken and blunt. "Debt." The word tastes like blood. "They want you," she continues. "Because if they take the Det Omega from Var, they don't just win a prize. They prove Var can't hold his covenant. They tear him apart from the inside." My hands clench. "How do you know?" Usmara's eyes fill. "Because I was that kind of proof," she whispers. Something in me hardens into a cold, clear line. I lower the knife a fraction. "Help me," I say. "If you're telling the truth, help me keep people alive." She nods fast. "Tell me what to do." I point toward the training room. "Boil water. Fill every pot. Bring clean cloth, and don't let anyone lay on their back if they're choking on smoke." Usmara doesn't hesitate. She runs, a crack outside, something heavy breaking. The windows rattle. I force my legs to move. I drag the training mats into the front room, make a makeshift triage area, lay out supplies like a ritual. The first wolf through the door is a teenage beta with a cut above his eye, blood running into his lashes. His hands shake. "They're at the north wall," he blurts. "They have," he coughs, choking on smoke. I grab his chin gently, tilt his face, inspect. "Breathe through your mouth," I tell him. "Slow, sit." He obeys like my voice is a rope he can cling to. More come in, burns, cuts, a broken wrist. A deep bite on a shoulder that reeks of che u je a ikratkoi, wrong scent, unfamiliar pack. I work until my hands stop being hands and become tools. Somewhere in the chaos, I realize something terrifying. No one is watching me like a prize anymore. They're watching me like I matter. And that means the enemy will target me harder. The back door explodes inward. The sound is so violent it turns the room white for a second. Splinters fly. Cold air knifes in, carrying smoke and pine, and che u je a ikratkoi dominance that slams into my chest. I stagger. 3 men step into the house, silhouettes against the burning night. The one in front is tall, broad, with hair the color of ash and eyes like polished stone. His coat is immaculate despite the snow. His smile is mild, almost courteous. Not Garrick's crude hunger, this is something colder. "Ah," he says, voice smooth. "There you are." My throat tightens. I don't need Usmara to name him. Severian Core. He steps forward, and his dominance rolls through the room like poison gas. Wolves in the front room freeze, instinct dragging their heads down. My wall inside my chest cracks. I force it back up with every ounce of stubbornness I own. Severian's gaze lands on me like a hand. "Det Omega," he says, as if he's tasting the phrase. Do you know what you are? I'm a person, I say, voice shaking but loud enough to cut through the paralysis. A few wolves twitch as if the sentence is a slap they needed. Severian's smile widens. How charming, he murmurs. Clanvar is teaching its property to speak. Rage flares so bright it steadies me. He takes another step. I lift the knife. Stop. Severian looks at the knife like it's a child's toy. If you cut me, he says mildly, I will still take you, but I will take others too to teach you cost. The room goes still in terror. My grip on the knife falters because he's right, not because he's strong, because he's cruel with strategy. Behind him, another man moves faster, low, shifting on the edge of wolf form. His eyes lock on me. I see the lunge before it happens. I don't think, I throw the knife. It isn't elegant. It isn't precise the way it is in movies. But it hits the lunging man in the shoulder. He howls, stumbling back, clutching it. Severian's eyebrows lift, impressed despite himself. Good, he says softly. Spirit. He raises his hand slightly, and the room's ve'azedeuka shifts. His dominance pushes harder, forcing knees down. Wolves tremble, caught between obedience and terror. My legs shake. I plant my feet. Shield, breathe, wall. It holds for 2 seconds. Then the air changes again, another dominance, sharper and hotter, a storm colliding with Severian's cold. The front windows shudder. A growl vibrates through the walls. Dáyne's. Severian's head turns, almost amused. There you are, he says, as if greeting an equal. The front door slams open. Dáyne steps in, snow in his hair, blood on his knuckles, eyes burning. For one heartbeat, I feel my body go stupid with relief. Then the fear returns twice as sharp, because now they're both here. 2 alphas in the same space. The air becomes a weapon. Dáyne's gaze flicks to me, quick, assessing, alive, standing, then it locks onto Severian. Leave my house, Dáyne says. Severian's smile is polite. Your house is open, he answers. Your debt is unsecured, your walls burn. Dáyne's voice drops, dangerous. Your men broke covenant. Severian shrugs like laws are stories for children. Your covenant is weakness dressed up as tradition. Dáyne steps forward. You won't take her. Severian's gaze slides to me, then back to Dáyne. Watch me. The clash is not physical at first. It's ve'azedeuka, dominance hitting dominance like thunderheads colliding. Wolves in the room whimper, hands over ears, faces pale. Someone drops to their knees, shaking. My vision tunnels. My heart slams. Dáyne's jaw is clenched so hard a muscle ticks in his cheek, but his eyes never leave Severian's. Severian's smile doesn't change. Then, with a movement too smooth to be seen, Severian flicks his hand. A figure behind him, one of his wolves, throws something small and dark into the room. It hits the floor and shatters. A cloud erupts. Not smoke, not fire, something bitter and sweet that claws into my lungs. My eyes burn instantly. I cough, choking. Wolves around me gag and stumble, disoriented. Severian moves through the chaos like he planned it. His hand closes around my wrist. Cold grip. Iron strength. My body reacts with terror so sharp it almost shifts me. I twist, trying to yank free, but his fingers tighten until pain flashes. Mine, he murmurs near my ear, voice like silk over a knife. Debt is transferable when the creditor is weak. I'm not, I cough, choking. Transferable. Severian laughs softly. Everything is. I see Dáyne through watering eyes, stepping toward us, fighting through the cloud, fury carved into his face. Tia, he barks, voice cracked with something I don't want to name. Severian yanks me back toward the broken door. I dig my heels in, scrambling, grabbing at the doorframe with my free hand. Splinters tear into my palm. Dáyne, I scream, and my voice is raw. Severian's grip tightens. Say his name louder, he whispers. Make him run, make him bleed. The cruelty is so intimate it makes bile rise. I twist hard, ignoring the pain, and slam my elbow back into Severian's ribs. It's like hitting a wall. He grunts, surprised more than hurt, and in that fraction of distraction, I do the only thing I can. I let go. Not of the doorframe, of the human. I drop my wall. I drop my control. I reach for the wolf inside me like a drowning person reaches for air. Heat tears through my bones. My skin crawls, my jaw aches. Severian's grip slips as my wrist thickens, as fur erupts, as my body changes too fast to be graceful. Pain explodes, but I use it, ride it, force it. I hit the ground on 4 legs, half shifted and shaking, and I lunge, not at Severian, at the open night. Run. I burst through the broken door into snow and smoke, lungs burning, eyes watering, heart hammering. Behind me I hear Dáyne roar. It's not words. It's a sound that promises the world will end if he can't reach me. I run until the forest swallows the house lights. And then something hits me from the side. A net, weighted rope slams over my body, tangling my legs. I crash into the snow, yelping, struggling. Hands grab the net. Wolves surround me, cheuje yes scents like oil. I snap and snarl, teeth catching nothing but rope. A boot presses near my head, pinning me down. Severian's voice, calm as ever, floats above me. There, he says, that's better, less talking. The net tightens. The world narrows to cold, smoke, cheuje a ikratkoi hands. And one thought, sharp as a needle. Don't break, don't break, don't break. Dáyne, when he takes her, something in me goes quiet. Not calm, cold. My father's ghost used to call it clarity. He would smile when it arrived like it was a friend. I hate that I understand it. The cloud burns my lungs, but rage burns hotter. I force breath through it, force my eyes open, force my body forward. Sable is at my shoulder, bleeding from a cut across his scalp. His voice is hoarse. Alpha, its core, Severian. I know, I grind out. North walls still, hold it, I snap. Keep Garrick out, I'm going after her. Sable grabs my arm hard. If you leave, the council will call it abandonment. I turn on him, dominance flaring, but Sable doesn't flinch. Betas are stubborn that way. She will die, I say low. Sable's grip tightens. Then take a team, don't go alone, he wants you reckless. He's right, that makes me furious. I inhale once, slow, force the cold clarity into something controlled. Get Arlies, I order. Get the fastest runners. 2 betas. 2 fighters and Usmara. Sable blinks. The Omega, she knows their territory, I say. And Severian will underestimate her, that's useful. Sable nods and vanishes into the chaos. I turn to the wolves in my house, my pack, my responsibility, many coughing, eyes streaming, shaken by the dominance clash. I push my scent out, not as a weapon, but as an anchor. Hold, breathe, stay. The room steadies little by little. Then I step back out into the burning night. The compound is a war scar. Stores smolder. The north buildings are half blackened. Wolves run with buckets, with blankets, with bodies. The air reeks of smoke and che-u-je a ikratkoi. Garrick's men are still testing the perimeter, and cores are already gone, like a blade that slipped in and out. They didn't come to win a war tonight. They came to take her, because she is my open wound. I track her scent at the edge of the forest, fear, pain, a wild spike of shifting, then the bitter rope scent of a net. Core uses nets for Omegas. It's an old cruelty practiced. My hands clench until my knuckles ache. Sable returns with the team in minutes. Arlies is with him, hair braided tight, eyes hard. Usmara stands slightly apart, face pale, jaw set. She meets my gaze without dropping it. Good. Can you find their path? I ask her. Usmara inhales, eyes closing briefly as if tasting the air. Yes, she says. They're not trying to hide. Severian wants you to follow. Then we follow, I say. On my terms. We run. Snow crunches under boots. Breath steams. The forest closes around us, dark and dense, branches snagging coats like fingers. Wolves shift on the move, Sable's spine ripples, fur bursting, his body dropping to 4 legs with practiced ease. Others follow. I stay human for now. Claws are useful. Hands are too. Usmara leads, moving fast, silent, a shadow with purpose. She points once, twice, guiding us along a path that isn't a path, just a pattern of disturbed snow, and cheu je o kratkoi scent. After half an hour, we see lights ahead. Not torches. Lanterns placed deliberately in a line like breadcrumbs. A trap with manners. We stop behind a ridge. Below, a clearing opens, and in the center sits a crude cage, metal bars bolted to a sled, as if they built it to move a prisoner through snow. Inside, curled in the corner, is a wolf with patchy silver-brown fur. Tia. My chest goes tight enough it hurts. She lifts her head as if she hears my heartbeat. Her eyes catch the lantern light, bright and furious and terrified. She is alive. I can work with alive. Severian sits on a fallen log near the cage, coat spotless, hands bare. 2 of his wolves flank him. More are in the trees, hidden, watching. He looks up directly at me as if he's been staring at the exact spot I'm in all along. Alphavar, he calls, voice carrying easily through the cold. Come down, let's talk. Irlise snarls under her breath. Don't. Sable's fur bristles. Usmara's face goes hard, like a scar tightening. I step forward anyway because Severian expects fear or rage. He expects me to lunge. I give him something else. Control. I walk down the ridge into the clearing, hands visible, pace steady. My team stays back, hidden among the trees, ready. Severian smiles. How civilized, he says. Your father would have attacked by now. My father is dead, I answer. So is hers, Severian murmurs, glancing toward the cage. A shame. Fathers make such convenient chains. The words hit like a punch because they are too true. Tia growls low in the cage, a sound of pure hatred. Severian's gaze lingers on her with interest. She's spirited, he says. You've been kind to her, that was your mistake. I let my scent sharpen slightly, a warning. You broke covenant by entering my territory. Severian shrugs. Covenant applies between equals. We're equals, I say. Severian's smile turns indulgent. No, he says softly. Trying to be good, that makes you predictable. He stands and walks toward the cage, slow, casual. Tia scrambles back, hackles rising, teeth bared. She throws herself at the bars, snarling. Severian stops just outside her reach. You see, he says to me, she's already learned to fight. He turns slightly as if giving a lecture. You can't keep her and keep your idealism. Something will break. I hold his gaze. What do you want? Severian's eyes gleam. A trade, he says. You step down. Publicly, admit weakness. Let Garrick take your council seat. Then I return the Omega. The audacity is almost elegant. My hands clench. No. Severian sighs as if disappointed by a child. Then I keep her, he says, voice still mild. Debt transfers to the strongest claimant, and you will be remembered as the alpha who lost his pack to his conscience. Tia's growl turns into a whine of rage and fear, the sound of an animal trapped. My wolf surges, wanting blood, wanting his throat. I force it down. Open the cage, I say. Severian's eyebrows lift. You surrender? I shake my head once. You want proof I'm weak, I say. You won't get it, but you want to see if I'm cruel. Severian's smile is thin. Am I to be impressed? No, I answer, voice steady. You're to be bored, because I'm not playing your game. Severian studies me, eyes narrowing. Then, what are you doing? I take a slow breath. I'm giving you what you really came for, I say, and I let my scent shift, not dominance, not threat. A signal. A moment of openness that tastes like vulnerability. Severian's eyes sharpen, greedy for it. Behind him in the trees, a bird call sounds, not a bird, a code. Severian's gaze flicks toward the sound, suspicion finally cracking his calm. And in that crack, Usmara moves. She drops from the branch above him like a knife, landing on his shoulders, yanking his head back with a loop of rope. Not to kill, to distract. Irelies and Sable explode from the tree line at the same moment, wolves in full shift slamming into Kor's guards with brutal precision. The clearing becomes teeth and snow and snarls. Severian stumbles, hand going for a weapon at his belt. I'm already moving toward the cage. Tia rams herself into the bars again, frantic. Hold, I command, voice cracking through the chaos. She freezes, trembling, eyes locked on mine through the metal. I grab the lock, crude, heavy, and snap it with a tool from my pocket, a small bolt cutter I brought because I refused to be surprised by cages again. The lock breaks. The door swings open. Tia lunges out, half-shifted, shaking so hard her legs almost fold. For one heartbeat, she stares at me, eyes wild. Then she presses her head hard against my thigh, a quick, desperate contact, like she's making sure I'm real. My chest tightens painfully. I don't touch her yet. I keep my hands open, giving her the choice. Can you run? I ask. She makes a low sound that could be yes. Severian's voice cuts through the fighting, suddenly sharp with real anger. Get her. A Kor wolf breaks from the melee, sprinting toward us. Tia snarls and pivots, positioning herself between me and the attacker. It's reckless, brave, stupid, and it makes something inside me go hot and fierce. I step around her, not behind her, because she isn't my shield. I meet the attacker head-on, shifting mid-stride. Bones crack, fur erupts, claws bite into snow. My wolf takes over with clean violence. We collide. The fight is fast and brutal. Teeth, claws, wait. I drive him down, pin him, snap my jaws inches from his throat. He freezes. He whimpers, submission forced out by pain and dominance. I release him with a snarl and turn back. Severian is on his feet now, Usmara shoved off, his coat finally dusted with snow. His eyes are no longer polite. They are hungry and furious. Tia stands near me, panting, half-shifted, blood at the corner of her mouth from biting herself during the net struggle. Severian looks at her like she's a trophy that learned to bite. You'll pay for this, he says to me, voice low. Then his gaze slides to Tia. And you, he adds softly, will learn what a real cage is. Tia's ears flatten. Her body trembles, but she doesn't back away. She bares her teeth. It's a small act. It's everything. Sable appears at my side, blood on his muzzle. More in the trees, he pants. We need to go. I glance at Tia. Now, I say, we run. Behind us, Severian's laughter follows like a curse. But he doesn't chase. Not far. Because this was never about tonight being the final battle. It was about proving he could reach into my territory and take what he wanted. And now I've proven something back. I can reach too. We make it to the compound before dawn, breath ragged, bodies bleeding, smoke still rising from blackened beams. Wolves scatter when they see us return with her alive. Hope moves through the air like electricity. Tia stumbles on the porch, legs giving out. I catch her elbow, not gripping, just steadying. She flinches at contact, then leans into it despite herself, exhausted beyond pride. Inside, I get her to the training room, away from eyes, away from council whispers, away from anyone who would turn her fear into a story. Irelies follows, closing the door behind her. Usmara sits against the wall, shaking silently, hands wrapped around a mug like it's warmth itself. Sable stands guard. Tia's shift fades in jerky waves. Fur retracts. Bones settle with small, sickening clicks. She ends up curled on the mat, human again, face pale, hair damp with sweat. I kneel a few feet away and keep my voice low. You're safe, I say. Her laugh is broken. Safe, she whispers, like the word is still a joke. then her eyes fill suddenly, violently. He touched me. The words punch through me. Where? I ask, and my voice turns rough despite my effort. My wrist, she says, showing the bruising. My throat, she can't finish. I force myself to breathe, to keep my scent calm, not to flood her with my rage. Irelise moves to her with cloth and antiseptic, hands gentle. You're here, she murmurs, you're here. Tia's gaze snaps to me, sharp through tears. He said debt transfers to the strongest claimant, she says. Is that true? My jaw tightens. Not under our covenant, I answer. Under his, maybe. Under his lies, definitely. But the council will believe him, she presses, voice shaking. They'll say you were weak because he got me out. They can say whatever they want, I tell her. They don't decide what happened. Tia's breathing is uneven. He'll come back. Yes, I admit. Her eyes flare with a sudden, fierce clarity. Then we need to end this debt, she says, voice hoarse. Not in 30 years now, the words land with weight. Sable's gaze flicks to me. Irelise's hands pause. Usmara looks up, face hollow but attentive. I hold Tia's eyes. How? I ask. She swallows hard. Equal deal, she says. Not a bond used as a fix. Not an oath used as a chain. A real repayment. She inhales, then says it with the steadiness of a woman making a decision through pain. I'll pay the debt in service and coin, she says, on contract, with terms that protect me. And if your counsel refuses, then I leave with proof that you didn't keep a slave. You kept a healer you paid. Silence. It's brilliant. It's also a direct challenge to everything the elders used to keep power. My chest tightens, not with fear, but with something like pride that scares me. You're an Omega, Irelise says slowly, eyes narrowed. They will hate that you speak like an alpha. Tia's laugh is bitter. Let them hate it, she says. I'm tired of being quiet. I lean forward, careful. What terms? I ask. Tia wipes her face with the back of her hand, smearing tears and soot. A clinic, she says, a real one. Funded by the clan, I run it. I'm paid wages. A portion goes directly to the debt until it's zero. The rest is mine. I choose my hours. I can refuse non-emergency treatment if someone threatens me. I can leave the territory with escort when I want. No one touches me without my consent. Sable exhales softly, like he's impressed despite himself. Irelise's mouth tightens, then unexpectedly she nods once. That would change us, she says. It would keep you alive, Tia answers. I sit back on my heels, mind already moving. The council will argue it isn't blood, I say. Tia's eyes harden. Then I'll give them blood, she says, and something cold moves through me until I understand what she means. Service in wartime, healing in battle. Risk. Sacrifice, a different kind of blood. No, I say sharply. Tia's gaze locks on mine. Don't, she warns softly. Don't take my agency too. The sentence hits like a slap because it's fair, I swallow. Then we do it your way, I say, voice rough. But we do it carefully, contract, witnesses, and I will stand in front of the council and dare them to call you property again. Tia studies me for a long moment, breath still shaking. Then she nods once, small and exhausted. Okay, she whispers. Usmara's voice is quiet from the wall. Severian will try to break that, she says. He likes symbols. If you make her a paid healer, she becomes a symbol of a new covenant. He'll want to shatter it publicly. I turn my head toward her. Then we protect the symbol, I say. Usmara flinches at the word, then nods slowly. And we make our own, she says, proof that Kor's cage can be escaped. Tia's gaze shifts to Usmara, something softening. Stay, she says, surprising both of us. If you want. We can build this clinic together. Usmara's eyes fill. She looks away quickly, ashamed of hope. Irelise clears her throat. First, she says briskly, as if refusing to let emotion rule the room, we treat bruises. Then we face old men with old laws. Tia lets out a shaky breath that might be a laugh. Deal, she says. I stand, because if I sit here too long, I will reach for her and hold her and breathe her in until my wolf decides she's mine. And I refuse to let my desire become another cage. But as I move toward the door, Tia's voice stops me. Dáyne, I turn. She's sitting up now, hair tangled, face smudged with soot, eyes bright with exhaustion and fury, and something that looks too much like trust. Thank you, she says, quiet and fierce, for coming. My throat tightens. I nod once because anything more would crack me open. I always will, I say, and I leave before I say it wrong. Tia, the council chamber smells the same as the day I knelt. Smoke. Fur. Old stone that remembers every sentence ever spoken in it. But this time, I don't kneel. I walk in beside Dáyne, shoulders squared, Usmara and Arlys behind me, Sable at my other side like a shadow made of loyalty. My wrists are bruised. I don't hide them. Let them see. Let them remember what their laws invite into the world. The elders sit in their carved chairs, eyes glittering. Garrick is there too, mouth curled in a thin smile, as if he can taste my fear from across the room. Severian isn't here, but his presence is like a cold draft under the door. Everyone knows he breached the territory. Everyone knows he took me. Everyone knows Dáyne brought me back. The reader, same gray cloak, stands to speak. Dáyne lifts a hand. No theater, he says, voice carrying, murmurs ripple. An elder with a beard like frost leans forward. You come with the debt intact, he says. The weakness remains. I feel the old urge to fold under their gaze. I don't. Dáyne's voice is calm. The weakness is not the debt, he says. The weakness is that our laws make omegas into prizes. A hiss. Garrick's smile widens. Careful, he drawls. You speak like a human. I snap before I can stop myself. And you speak like a parasite. The chamber goes dead silent. Sable's hand twitches as if ready to catch me if they lunge. Dáyne doesn't look surprised. He looks satisfied. The frost-bearded elder's eyes narrow to slits. Det Omega, he says, voice cold. You forget your place. My heart hammers. I take one step forward into the open space between the chairs and the floor. My voice shakes at first, then steadies as anger becomes spine. My place, I say, is not on my knees. A ripple of sound, outrage, shock, something like reluctant fascination. I continue because if I stop now, I will drown. I discovered the clause you didn't read aloud, I say, eyes locking on the reader. 30 years, then perpetual property, and the mate clause used as a convenient trap. I will not be solved like a problem. Garrick laughs softly. Then you'll be owned like a debt. I turn to him slowly. No, I say, I'll be paid like a worker. The elders murmur, confused despite themselves. I lift my chin. I propose a contract, I say, and my hands stop shaking because the words are a lifeline. Convert the blood debt into coin and service. Dáyne funds a clinic. I run it as chief healer. I am paid wages. A fixed portion repays the debt monthly, documented and witnessed. When it reaches 0, I am free of covenant. The frost-bearded elder sneers. A human idea. Arlys steps forward, voice sharp. A survival idea, she corrects. We lost 3 wolves last winter to infection. She saved a boy from a collapsed lung with boiled water and stubbornness. Your pride can bury us, or her knowledge can keep us breathing. Another elder, eyes dark and calculating, leans forward. And what of the clause of ownership? He asks. The covenant is blood. Swallow, then say it, voice steady. Then let the blood be mine, I answer. Let the risk be mine, put it in the contract. If I abandon the clinic without cause, if I sabotage, if I betray, then you can call the debt defaulted. But if I serve, if I pay, if I keep your wolves alive, you cannot call me property. The chamber hums with tension. The reader looks to the elders, uncertain. Then the frost-bearded elder speaks again, eyes gleaming. Or, he says slowly, you could annul the debt with an oath. Swear yourself to the clan as healer. Forever, the debt vanishes. The offer lands like a noose thrown politely. For a heartbeat, the room is quiet. This is what they expected. This is what they prefer. An omega bound, a problem filed away, my stomach twists. Then I shake my head slowly, deliberately. No, I say. Outrage flares instantly. You refuse annulment, Garrick says, voice sharp. I refuse a cage dressed as mercy, I answer. My voice steadies as something fierce rises through me, a clarity I didn't know I had. I don't want the debt erased like it never happened, I say. I want it paid, equal deal. The words echo off stone. I turn my head toward Dáyne. He's watching me with an intensity that makes my skin prickle, but he doesn't interrupt. He doesn't claim. He doesn't rescue me from my own choice. I face the elders again. When the debt is paid, I add, I decide where I live. I decide who I touch. I decide if I stay, not because you allow it, because I earned it. Silence. Then, unexpectedly, the calculating elder leans back and looks at Dáyne. And you will accept this, he says, voice edged. You will weaken the covenant by turning blood into coin. Dáyne's voice is quiet, deadly. The covenant has already been weakened, he says, by Severian's hands on our Omega in our house, by Garrick's pups lighting our stores while Kor walked in, by your hunger for punishment when what we needed was protection. A murmur of anger, denial. Dáyne steps forward, gaze sweeping the chamber. You want strength, he says. Then watch it. Strength is adapting. Strength is surviving. Strength is refusing to become monsters because monsters are loud. Garrick's lip curls. And what of the mate clause, he says, voice oily. You could end this with a word, Alpha. Are you too weak to claim your own debt? The trap is laid. Public. Delicious to them. My pulse spikes. Dáyne doesn't even glance at me when he answers. He keeps his gaze on Garrick. I will not use bonding as a chain, he says, voice like stone. If I ever bond, it will be because she chooses it for herself, not because you demand a shortcut. The chamber hisses. Heat floods my face, fury and something else tangled together. The frost-bearded elder slams his hand on his chair arm. Then the debt stands, he snarls. And you invite Kor's challenge again. Dáyne's eyes go cold. Let them come, he says. We will be ready, with a stronger clan, with a clinic, with an Omega who is not a prize but a pillar. My chest tightens painfully. I didn't expect to be called a pillar in this room. I expected to be called property. The calculating elder studies me for a long moment, then says, put it in writing, with witnesses, with penalties, with schedule. My breath catches, not approval, but a door cracking open. Yes, I whisper, then louder. Yes, Garrick snarls. You'll regret giving her power. Dáyne's voice is mild. We already regret giving you any. The council erupts into argument. Elders snarling, betas murmuring, old laws colliding with new scars. I stand there, heart hammering, hands trembling, and I realize something with a strange, dizzy certainty. I'm not begging, I'm negotiating. And that is the first real freedom I've tasted since my father died. Dáyne, the contract, takes 3 days of fighting with words. Elders hate paper when it limits them. They love tradition when it protects their appetites. But the compound still smells like smoke. Wolves still wear bandages. Severian's touch is still on our doorstep like frost. The clan is tired of being used. They sign, not all of them willingly, but enough. Tia's clinic becomes a war project and a peace project at once. I redirect funds from ceremonial nonsense my father loved, hunts held for bragging, feasts held for hierarchy, and I put it into sterile supplies, proper beds, a generator, a small lab space. Tia moves through the building like she's already lived there for years. She assigns tasks. She trains omegas and betas alike in cleaning and boiling and basic triage. She makes a schedule. She argues with Irelies like a daughter arguing with an aunt who refuses to admit she's proud. Usmera stays, quiet at first, then more solid by the day. She flinches when men raise their voices, but she doesn't run. She learns to inventory supplies with a focus that borders on fierce. Sable stands guard outside the clinic on opening day, arms folded, eyes scanning, the kind of protection that doesn't ask for gratitude. Garrick's wolves watch from a distance, resentful. Severian's threat lingers in every shadow. And yet, something shifts. Because the clan sees the clinic work. They see wolves who would have limped for months walking in days because infections were treated early. They see an Omega child with fever survive because Tia insisted on clean water and the right herbs, and when needed, the precious antibiotics rationed like jewels. They start to say her name with something that isn't hunger. Respect. One evening, after the clinic closes, I find Tia alone in the main room, writing numbers in a ledger with ink-stained fingers. She looks up as I enter. Her hair is braided now, practical. Her eyes are tired. Payment schedule, I ask. She nods, tapping the page. The debt is obscene, she mutters. Your father had no shame. My father believed shame was for Omegas, I say. Tia's mouth tightens, then softens slightly. I'm sorry, she says quietly, for what you inherited. The sentence catches me off guard. Most people apologize to her. Few think to apologize to me. I don't want your pity, I say automatically. She snorts, faint amusement cutting through exhaustion. Good, she says, because it isn't pity, it's observation. I step closer and look at the numbers. How long? I ask. Her finger traces the line. If the clinic runs at projected capacity, she says, voice steady, and if we don't get burned down again, and if you don't get challenged into a war that drains resources, 5 years. My chest tightens. 5 years is a lifetime and a blink. 5 years and she will be free to leave. The thought should relieve me. Instead, it makes something inside me ache. Tia watches my face like she can read the war in it. You want me gone? She asks, blunt as always. No, I answer too fast, her eyes narrow. Then what? I force a slow breath. I want you safe, I say, and I want you free. Tia's gaze holds mine. And what do you want that you're not saying? She asks softly. The question is dangerous because she's learned to ask it. I swallow. My voice comes out low. I want you, I admit. Tia goes still. The air between us tightens, not with dominance, but with the raw edge of truth. I continue, because if I stop now, I'll turn it into another silence that hurts her. I want to touch you, I say, and the words scrape my throat. I want to wake up and know you're here because you chose it, not because the covenant forced your feet to my floor. Tia's breath catches. Her scent shifts, fear, yes, but also something warmer, something that makes my wolf go utterly still. She closes the ledger slowly, as if giving the moment her full attention. You didn't take the mate clause, she says quietly. Even when it would have saved you trouble, I nod once. Yes. And you came for me, she adds, voice rough. Yes, I say again, and the word feels like a vow. Tia stands slowly. She takes one step toward me, then another, until she's close enough that I can feel the heat of her body, smell the clean bite of antiseptic on her hands. She looks up at me, eyes bright and fierce. I'm still angry, she says. I know, I answer. I might be angry for a long time, she whispers. I can live with that, I say, and mean it. Tia's throat works. If we bond, she says, and her voice shakes on the word, it won't be a solution. My chest tightens painfully. No, I say, steady, it won't. It won't erase what happened, she continues. It won't make me owe you. I don't want you owing me, I say. Tia's eyes search mine, as if hunting for the hidden hook. She finds none. Finally, she exhales, shaky but decisive. Then I'll choose, she says, voice barely above a whisper. Not because the council says, not because Severian threatens, not because debt demands it. She lifts her chin, stubborn even in tenderness. Because when I say your name, she says softly, I want it to be real. My throat closes. For a moment, I can't speak. I only nod once, because if I open my mouth, the sound that comes out might be too much. Tia raises her hand slowly, giving me time to refuse, and touches my scar at my eyebrow with the pad of her finger. The contact is so gentle it almost hurts. My hand lifts on instinct, then stops halfway. I wait. Tia's gaze flicks to my hand, then back to my eyes. She nods once. Permission. I cup her cheek, careful, as if she might shatter, though I know she won't. Her skin is warm. Her breath trembles. She leans into my palm like she's tired of holding herself upright alone. We don't rush. We stand in the clinic that she built out of ash and stubbornness, and we let the moment be what it is. Not a cage, not a contract, not a performance. A choice. Later, when the bond ceremony happens, it isn't in the council chamber. It's at the edge of the pines, in the early morning when the snow glows blue and the air tastes clean. Irely stands as witness. Sable stands too, arms crossed, eyes suspiciously soft. Usmara watches with her hands clasped, like she's witnessing proof that cages can break. Tia speaks her vows in a voice that shakes but doesn't falter. I speak mine with a steadiness my father never possessed. No chains, no spectacle, just truth. And when it's done, when her scent settles against mine in a way that feels like coming home without stealing her keys, she exhales a breath that sounds like relief and laughter mixed together. I'm still paying the debt, she says immediately, as if daring anyone, me, the world, the covenant, to twist this into ownership. I smile, unable to stop it. Yes, I say, you are. And when it's paid, she adds, eyes bright, I'll decide again. My wolf purrs at the thought. My man respects it. Good, I say. I'll keep earning the next choice. The months that follow are not perfect. Severian tests the borders twice, sending scouts that vanish back into the forest when they realize we're ready. Garrick grumbles and plots, but the clan's patience for his games thins when the clinic saves his own nephew from fever. The elders complain about paper and schedules, but they can't argue with survival. Tia becomes the clan's heartbeat in a way no council decree could manufacture. She walks through the compound without lowering her gaze. She laughs sometimes now, surprising and bright. And on nights when the old fear wakes her, she comes to my room not because she has to, but because she wants to, and she sleeps with her back pressed to my chest like she's teaching her body a new truth. Mine doesn't mean owned. Mine can mean chosen. One evening, as winter loosens into early thaw, Tia sits at the clinic desk with the debt ledger open. She runs her finger down the numbers, then looks up at me, eyes shining. We made the first year's mark, she says softly. I lean over her shoulder, reading. The debt has dropped, still huge, still obscene, but shrinking. She closes the book with a decisive thump. I hated you, she says, voice quiet, almost embarrassed by the memory. I know, I answer. She turns in her chair, looking up at me. And you didn't punish me, she adds. I didn't want obedience, I say. I wanted you alive. Tia's mouth trembles, then steadies into a small, fierce smile. I'm alive, she says, and I'm not kneeling. No, I agree, you're standing. She reaches for my hand, lacing her fingers through mine. Her grip is warm, real. Outside the clinic window, wolves run in the yard, laughter rising with their breath. Smoke no longer stains the air. The forest remains dark at the edges, because threats don't vanish just because love exists. But inside these walls, something new has taken root. Not perfection, a future. And for the first time since my father died, the word home doesn't taste like grief alone. It tastes like her name, spoken freely.